Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
Welcome back. Yes.
Welcome to the Horseman's Hot Seat.
Yes.
We're very excited to be here with Wendy Johnston today.
Yes.
Wendy, just to kick us off, for the people that don't know Wendy, what is it that you do in the horse industry? Why are you here?
All right. Well, first of all, I am a certified high-performance coach in reining.
Wow.
And I have some certification in speed events and general performance. I've been a teacher at college level,
Okay.
for 35 years.
Wow.
And taught about horses. I'm also an English competition coach, and
Wow.
I am a general performance judge. But the thing that I love best about what I do is I am a master course conductor for Canada.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I prepare people
Yep.
to become coaches, but I also am a coach myself
Okay.
and prepare horse and rider teams.
Now, Wendy, is that a coach in a specific discipline or all disciplines, like just generally an equestrian coach?
So the way the coaching program is set up, we have instructors that basically teach the fundamentals to their clients, but they don't
Okay.
take them to horse shows.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Then we have the competition coaches, which are divided into two categories. Just a competition coach would take their people to low-level competitions,
Okay.
but they cover the fundamentals and some specialties associated with showing.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the competition coach specialists that you can get certified in different disciplines, but generally speaking, it's general performance, reining, or speed. And then there is the high performance coach, or what's called comp dev in the NCCP world. And those are specialized. So we have eventers, we have jumpers, eventers, jumpers, dressage people, vaulting, para, and reining.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much variety there. There's
Yeah.
just so many different things, it really probably requires you to be quite flexible in what you have to be able to do.
Well-rounded.
Definitely flexible.
That's fair.
Definitely.
So we have a question to start you off. I'm really curious to know, what is your definition of a soft feel, and how do you develop your sense of feel and timing with horses?
Okay, so that's a really interesting question because I've never really used the term soft feel.
Got it.
But it's my understanding that the soft feel is related to your hand control, right? So when you are using a soft feel, you simply pick your horse up, and what it creates is an evasion or a willingness of the horse to get a release from that pressure, right? So you can have a soft feel to the right, you can have a soft feel to the left, you can pick your horse's mouth up, basically, and have a soft feel downwards. You can have a soft feel backwards, and you can have a soft feel forwards. But it only really relates to the nose, vertical flexion, and back over to the wither.
Right. Awesome.
That's how I see it. So
Love that.
you can have a soft feel too if you're showing a halter horse or in
Yes.
showmanship, right, in hand, or when you're lunging a horse as well.
Awesome. So then to expand on that, with your own feel, like when you have been cultivating your ability to have a soft feel with your own horses, like have there been any aha moments, or how have you developed that feel for yourself?
Okay, well, I personally just don't use my hands when I ride.
Yeah.
So it kind of evolves into using all your natural aids, right?
Yes.
So when you divide the
Yeah.
horse into three different pieces, the front, the middle, and the back,
Yeah.
you want to use your hands to adjust the front. You want to use your seat and your legs to soften or supple or develop softness through the rib cage. And you also want to use your legs to drive the hindquarters up, which creates a condition that you would call self-carriage.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Which leads us to our next question. We wanted to talk about like what self-carriage means to you, and in what you do with horses. What does that look like?
Okay, so if we go back to the soft feel, oftentimes the soft feel just actually makes the horse heavier in his neck.
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
So when you look at self-carriage and you're using your seat, your leg, and your hands in combination, it helps to change the balance of the horse. So the horse is normally about 60-40 front to back.
Yep.
Yep.
And the goal then with having self-carriage is to make it a 50-50 and to get the horse to use his hindquarters, to use the abs to pick up the back,
Yes.
right? To lighten the shoulders and to have the neck kind of lift and telescope out to produce that vertical flexion.
Okay. Just for those that may not be as familiar, I think most people would think 50-50 front to back, the way that the weight is carried by the horse. But can you just expand on that a bit? Because you touched on it, 60-40. Why is that for those that don't know?
Just the way that the horses are built normally.
Like their anatomy.
Yes, their anatomy.
Yep.
But also in the evolvement of the breeding process through horses, there's qualities that help to make it easier for the horse to balance.
Okay.
So if you look at general conformation, you want to think about balance. You want to think about symmetry from
Yes.
side to side.
Yep.
You want to talk about equal thirds when you're looking at the horse, so it's not heavier on one part than another.
Yes.
But also qualities like a light pillar of support. So where they
Okay.
don't have a lot of shoulder out the front, that their neck ties in high into the shoulder.
Okay.
All right, so they have a longer top line in the shoulder area, in the neck area.
That makes sense.
Also LS placement, which is, around the croup area. Where the LS joint is, it should be right in between the two hip bones.
Okay.
So if it falls back, it actually deters the athletic ability of the horse to utilize the hindquarters and gain essentially collection.
Wow. Lots of gold there.
And LS, do you mean lumbosacral?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's good. Just want to
Yeah.
make sure we are all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's nice.
for people that don't know where it is, you can
Yeah.
just run your hand down and you feel that little divot,
Amazing.
right?
Okay.
In between the hip bones.
Wow.
So good.
That's awesome. I feel like there's a lot we could dive into, but we have
Yeah.
a couple other questions. We're going to keep moving into some the other pieces as well. Are there specific qualities that make an excellent coach? Because you do a lot of developing of coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think initially what I really want a good coach to do is to be prepared in what they're doing, right? So the first aspect that I look at is lesson planning, and that is essential. A lot of people can wing it when they've been in the industry for a long time, but people who are just starting to coach and teach individuals really don't have that entire concept. And because I've been a teacher for such a long time, lesson planning and lesson delivery was so, so important to make sure that students understood and got the information and could apply it somewhere, right?
Feel successful.
Right, so the first job is to develop a lesson plan. And what you look at in a lesson plan is basically your logistics. So it's your planning your lesson. What horses have you got? What time are you teaching? Have you got medical profiles on everybody and you've addressed them so that there could be some risks associated with the people you're teaching?
Right. Smart.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Waivers that have been signed.
Yeah.
And also in that element is really, what are you going to do for the day? Like, what's your plan? So oftentimes when I'm thinking about my logistics and my students, I'll just lay in bed in the morning and I will plan my day, right? So I start with something that makes me feel good, like it's a good day to be a good day, right?
Yeah, I
Right?
like that.
And then I think about what I'm going to do down my day. So I point my way down the day, right? So I think about the schedule. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go feed my horses, walk my dog, exercise, and then I'm going to be at a certain farm at a certain time, and I'm going to be giving 5 hours of lessons to different people, right? So you plan, and also you plan for what you're going to be doing that day. So I can mentally think of a topic where I think needs to be addressed based on the fundamentals, right? What they're going to be doing in their goals. And then I can have a game plan in mind for each of those 5 lessons given the experience of the group.
Awesome.
So when I'm teaching about lesson planning, it's really important to write down what is the goal of the lesson, right?
Yes, of course.
Which
Yeah.
is that, Wendy, based on, I guess it would depend where you're at with that client, like how long you've been with them. But are you setting that goal, or are you asking them, or a combination thereof?
Okay, that's a really good question, because normally I have a group of clients that are they're very loyal to me, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, we sit down and we make our yearly training plan,
Wow.
right?
I like that's like a year.
Yes.
And it's a collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know their level and their horse's level, but maybe they want to up the ante. Maybe they want to start showing, and from there, then I can put together some of the key performance factors that are going to be associated with different seasons and different goals that they have, right? So the key performance factors that I always focus on is, first of all, physical. So is the horse physically fit? What do we need to work on to get it physically fit? Are we going to do aerobic conditioning? Are we going to do strength training exercises? Are we going to work on flexibility, right? But then also in the dryland training program, I want the riders to have some idea of what they're going to do with their own bodies.
Important.
A lot of people
overlooked, but important.
a lot of
Yeah.
people like yoga.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah, but for me, if I wanted to do barrel racing, or because I love reining, I want to do some endurance training,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Some aerobic conditioning, and I want to build that into my program, right? So we've got the physical aspect of the key performance factors, and then we have the technical. So where are they in their training? What do they understand? And you can kind of go back to the training pyramid that the English people have got developed, and the first thing that you want to establish is rhythm. Rhythm, relaxation,
Yep.
and then when you get all those things happening, then you can focus on mental strategies, right? So you got physical, technical, mental, right? So you think about emotional control, attentional control, right? And
Oh,
that's
yeah, so
both in the
important.
horse and in the rider.
And you need to be able to lead by example if you really want to bring out the best in your horse a lot of the time.
Right, and so sometimes that brings into play your mental faculties.
Totally.
So being able to visualize, use your imagination, look at the end goal, and you may not know the steps to get there, but you have a goal to get to reach by the end, right? So there's mental strategies, and then the last one is tactical. So if your horse has got some issues with maybe a focused attention or other things, anticipation, because a lot of horses,
So smart.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to correct that and help the rider deal with it, especially if they're going in to do a pattern, and they know that their horse, as soon as it gets in the ring, is going to do something.
Right.
Then you have to, put in games or situations where the horse and rider have to deal with that, and then they can learn how to deal with it. So it's a process.
Yes.
Yeah, it sure is.
So one thing though that I really do think that riders will develop over time is intuitive thought. So,
yeah.
as they learn to understand their own horse and themselves, because oftentimes our horse knows what we're thinking before we even get to it,
Yeah.
right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Rarely strikes me in the process you're looking at too, like there's intentionality in every
Oh, for
step of
sure.
the way, and it's through building those blocks with intention and progression that the intuition kind of it almost might, I don't know if it comes as a byproduct or by default, but how could you not develop more of your intuition when you're building that progression so intentionally? And
Yeah.
and I think of just as you step into those spaces with the people you're helping, the intention you set is something they can also pick up on and follow too.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you have to have an intention every single day, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, I like what you said too.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, I'll take that.
That's great. Good stuff.
What I took away from what you said too was, I feel like, and I want to know your opinion on this, but when you describe that intentionality, And then developing being intuitive, the rider eventually becoming intuitive. Like I was thinking of feel and timing, like also just that's the development of feel and timing. Would you say that's another way to say what you said?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you don't have a horse that's reactive, you have a horse that's responsive and thinking, right?
Oh, that's the dream. Yeah, that's the
the
goal.
dream. So I wanted to go back to the instructor preparation though, right? So they learn the lesson plan.
Yeah.
They learn to teach in the capacities that most people think about. They're either visual learners, right?
Yeah.
They're auditory learners, or they're kinesthetic learners,
Yeah.
right? So in each part of the lesson plan, they have to address that. So they have an explanation where they talk about the what, why, where, how, when.
Yeah.
Right? They have the demonstration component where either the coach would ride, or the coach would just show it on foot, or somebody else would come and ride.
Okay.
And then you have the practice. And you develop activities in the practice to maybe just initiate the skill, and they might get it right 3 or 4 times. But in the process of that development, they become in the initiation phase. Yep. Then they go into the consolidation phase. Then they go into the refinement phase, right? So the same lesson can be held at so many different levels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then making sure that they understand, right? The conclusion, the wrap up, the what's next.
Yep.
Make sure you sell the next lesson,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Where
that's
we're going
really-
from here.
That's very important. It's like a
That's right.
trailer for the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you go into more coaching, then you're going to be talking about the analyzing performance, how they can fix it, and then that just seamlessly develops over time. And when you get into the competition aspect, you look more at mental and tactical development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very
I'm so struck by the quality of instruction you give to both people and to horses because of how much thought you put into the detail. Like I'm just thinking,
how
like if I had a
clear-
chance to work with you, I'm like I feel like I'd be getting such a quality,
Absolutely.
quality guidance because of how much
And how
thought goes
clear
into it.
you are
Yeah, it's so
on
easy to
what
track.
you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Thank
And,
you.
because we part of what we love about this space so much is we like to say we're forever students. We just, or as much as we do teach in some spaces, but we love learning, and so you kind
Horse
of know.
geeks.
Yeah, and sometimes there are spaces that are easier to learn in than others.
Yes.
And just the way you're describing that, I go, what a great way to set students up for success, or people that are wanting
It's
to learn.
logical.
Yeah.
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 And it's simply called performance planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there's actually quite a bit of, even when you're describing the different types of learning, visual learning, kinesthetic, auditory, like there's a lot of research and thought that it already exists out there. So being able to apply it to our passion for horses.
Yeah, absolutely. And we deal closely with the National Coaching Certification Program
Awesome.
in Canada, and we're held to account. So once we're certified, we have to do PD
Yes,
Right?
professional development for
every
sure.
year.
I get that.
Yeah. So, and that's an important part too, because I'm a lifelong learner, as you are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
100%.
Feel that kindred spiritness.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
That kind of, some of what we were talking about was coming in my mind. It's like, oh, that's so perfect for the next question. But the saying by great horseman Tom Dorrance about how you have to get to the mind of the horse to get to the feet. We're just wondering, what did that mean to you?
So Tom Dorrance wrote a really great book,
Yes.
and I have it written down what it was called, but I probably not on my cheat sheet here. But in it, he has different passages and guidance.
Unity with horses. Was that
Yes,
it?
that's it. Unity, true unity.
Yes.
True
Thank
unity.
you. I'm getting mixed up with the Ray Hunt one, I think. But I
Right.
think you got it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's different places in that book where he gives guidance, and it really, the effect it had on me is that the man had so much compassion and empathy and understanding and intuitive sense,
Yes.
you know, throughout his life when he worked with horses. But he not only had it with them, he had it with people too.
Absolutely.
Right?
There was a congruence. It was congruent.
Yeah, you know, and one of the phrases included practice, 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 right? So being consistent, growing mentally. And he also said you have to have love for your horse,
Yes.
right? You have to sometimes give him a snuggle,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So there is a YouTube series with someone who went through that book with all the passages and principles, and yeah, it's very meaningful, and you can totally relate it. And she kind of pulls it apart and talks about each of the phrases.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I once heard an interview with, I believe it was, I think it's a reining trainer, Doug Jordan, and it was on Let Freedom Reign, and it was so interesting because Doug had met Tom before he passed, and the way that he described him, like to sum it up, because the interviewer was asking, like, what was your overall thought on Tom? And he said he was the most Christ-like person he'd ever met.
Yeah.
And I have quite a few of his videos, and watching them, sometimes like he's just so quiet and humble. And he, like you said, he really was like intuitive about the way he worked with horses and people. I could totally see what Doug meant, and just the love, that being the driving factor
Exactly.
for both people and horses.
Yep.
It's just such a good lesson.
That's all
It's
we
pretty
need is love.
basic.
That's what it all comes down to at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me think like without love, I feel like things just the simplest things can feel so difficult
Yes.
without that foundation.
Yeah.
And then sometimes some of the most challenging things, if that love is really there at the
Yeah.
heartbeat and the core of what you're trying to do with your horses and with the people around you, sometimes you can go through really hard things and they're actually a little more manageable. Like they're
Yes.
surprisingly manageable when that part is in and that ingredient is in
Yeah.
the recipe.
Definitely, because it brings you back, instead of your physical qualities, your mental faculties, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Your imagination, your intuition, your
Right.
reason, your memory,
Yeah.
your will,
Yes.
right?
Kind of like if we start on the
Perspective.
inside and
Yeah.
then you see all the fruit of what's coming out on the outside, but it's kind of
Yeah.
planting good seeds and making sure the inside
That's
stuff is
right.
in line.
Pull those weeds out.
Yes, totally. Free up that space and plant good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that brings us to the end of our time for today. That
Wow.
takes us, it flew by. Thank you
Really
so much,
enjoyed it.
Wendy,
It
for
did.
sharing with us. Yeah.
It did fly
But
by.
before we wrap up, though, can you maybe just let people know, do you have a booth somewhere where they can come visit you, or like, give us a little bit of a summary of where people can come find you and learn more from you over this weekend?
Well, I don't have a booth,
Okay.
but I am going to be doing ranch riding,
Awesome.
Wow.
patterning, this afternoon. So I'll be around the big arena.
Okay.
Perfect.
What time is that at, Wendy?
I believe it's at 1:30.
Okay, 1:30.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can check programs for that.
Yeah.
If anyone
Yep.
needs to check
Definitely
the program.
check the program. And tomorrow we're working, I think in the pavilion,
Yep.
the arena at the other end.
Yep.
Awesome.
We're going to work on some ranch trail.
Sweet.
It's exciting.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I've got 3 riders, and one is 17, one is 28, and one is an older lady.
Okay.
So a great cross section.
Yes.
And one of the gals is actually an FEI dressage rider.
Oh,
Nice.
even more interesting.
And
Doing
she-
trail.
trail and ranch riding
Awesome.
patterning.
Yeah.
Love that. That's
Yeah, she-
so fun.
She wants to maybe change up her discipline.
Sure.
good.
I love that.
Yeah,
And-
I find
yeah.
every time I get a chance to dabble in a discipline that I'm not doing as regularly, it rounds out new skills and new ways of looking at things. It just makes me a little better, I hope. But
Yeah.
that's how it feels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
Wonderful.
tomorrow, the ranch and trail,
Yeah.
the ranch riding and the ranch trail are 2 different time slots.
2 different demos.
Okay.
And we're changing up the patterns on all 3 days so that we're integrating all of the additional things that you might see in a ranch riding pattern
Amazing.
Okay.
and the strategy to actually put it together.
Wow. Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier how I wish I could clone myself and sit at every arena
Yeah.
all day
Oh,
long.
I
and be
know,
able to
right?
take it all in. There's so much to learn, and we wish you all the best with those demos. We hope
Yes.
those go so well. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your thoughts with us today.
Well, and thank
Really-
you for having me. This has been an awesome opportunity, and I'm just so excited to be here.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
great.
Very good. Thank you, Wendy.
Okay.
All right.
thank
Thanks
you.
everyone for being here. We'll be back with Miles Kingdon soon, so feel free to tune in then. Thanks everyone.